What's it like to go from being a tourist in the Venice, Sarasota, Northport, Englewood areas to becoming a resident? In this video, I'm going to cover how our perspective has changed since we've moved to the area. We've been here a little under 5 years at this point. Let's get started. So to give you the quick rundown, basically we moved from Wisconsin about 6.5 years ago down to the Orlando metro, lived there for a year and a half. Got to tell you, that was a big change. Like that was the first, moment of going from being a tourist and, just the whole idea of Florida being new in general, which a lot of you watching this, that's probably the case. And then from that point, we moved from there to Venice. Now, when we were living in Orlando, first of all, that, at first, felt like a whole new world, felt kind of like you were being a tourist living in that area for quite a while. And then even while we were living there, coming to visit like other beach cities, Venice being one we frequently visited because we just found it so magical and exciting, there was definitely an element of, wow, this is like something you go to vacation on. This isn't something I could see myself living there, but like, I don't know if I could believe it if I moved there. You know what I mean? It was sort of that thing going on. And even like stuff like this, like where I'm walking right now, I'm in Shamrock Park in South Venice area right now. And you can see it's just gorgeous. It's March, late March. So it's starting to warm up in a lot of the United States, but like here it's been warm, you know what I mean? And today it's almost hot. We're teetering on hot. It's like probably, I don't even know. It feels probably like 80 degrees, super sunny as you can see. So just this whole idea of being somewhere where it was warm was just completely new when we first came to the area. And so just that part alone takes a while to get used to, so like, and even now for that matter. I mean, like, especially when we'll often have family come down in the winter months, because who wouldn't want to, right? You know what I mean? They're living up in Wisconsin where it's cold and snowy. So when they come down, it kind of reminds us of like, yeah, we got it made. It's pretty nice being in this, nice warm weather. Now, I will admit, after being here for about 6 years now in Florida in general, you kind of start to, I don't want to say take for granted the warm weather because, with having family up north, you still have conversations with them and that reminds you of how great it is that it's warm this time of year. But at the same time, you do kind of get used to it and you don't maybe appreciate it quite as much. Now, it takes a while for that to happen. I mean, I would say it was around like 3 to 4 years when we started kind of just like not necessarily notice that it was nice out that time of year. You know what I mean? I mean, you still notice and you still appreciate it, but not to like to the level of every morning you wake up and you're just like, yeah, I can go out and do stuff today. You know what I mean? Like that element kind of fades away a little bit after about 3 to 4 years. And I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people are thinking about when moving to this area, like the weather side of things is one of the big ones. But then outside of that, the cities themselves, the beaches, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure that's what you really want to know, is like, what does that actually look like on a day-to-day basis after you've lived in an area for a while, or maybe even just for the first couple of years. So here's our experience. So in our first year and a half when we were in Orlando, we definitely were just like eating it up, gobbling up everything we could do. It was like being on vacation, you know what I mean? We had the theme parks at our fingertips. We could drive to the beach, with a quick day trip, both East Coast and West Coast. We were doing that quite a bit, just really trying to soak in everything that we could. But at the same time, you still have, your work to do. You still got your normal daily things that you have to handle. So it's not like you're completely on vacation, but I'll say this, even your work feels a little bit more enjoyable when you know that it's sunny out or you're outside in the sun doing work like I am right now. It's kind of crazy to say that this is work, you know what I mean? So that element is definitely there. When we first moved to Venice, the perspective of it was definitely, how do I put it? Just, I can't believe I'm here. I guess is sort of a good way of putting it. Like on a daily basis, like I'm literally living in heaven right now is kind of like the way we were looking at it for the first, I would say 2.5-ish years. And then after a while, you sort of start to acclimate to the area and you sort of, expect certain things, that you get used to, you know what I mean? You expect the weather, you expect the beaches, you expect the businesses and restaurants and things that you like about the area. And it becomes a little bit less, I don't want to say exciting because it's still pleasant. It's amazing when you go do those things and use them, but it's not quite as new and exciting, I guess would be a good way of putting it. By the way, we do serve the Orlando metro as well as anywhere from Sarasota down to Port Charlotte, Englewood. If you're looking to buy or sell a home in any of those areas, get a hold of our team. We'd love to help you out. We've helped a lot of people move to Florida. We'd love to help you too. Anywhere outside of those areas in Florida or the United States for that matter, you can click the link in the description, answer a few questions. That'll get you connected with a realtor in the area that you're you're looking for is an expert in that area. That doesn't cost you anything extra, but if you're finding these videos helpful, we would really appreciate you getting a hold of us or clicking that link. So let's talk a little bit more about details with the beach, because I think that's the big one everyone wants to know. How often do you go to the beach? Do you really use the beach that much? Is it that exciting to live close to the beach? And for us, you know, living in Venice, like a lot of Venice, you're talking less than a 15-minute drive to get to the beach. For us, it's under 10 minutes. So it's not a big deal to just decide, hey, let's just go to the beach for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, you know, the whole day, whatever you may choose to do. But it's nice to be close enough that, you know what, I just want to look at the water for a few minutes and then we'll move on with our day. That's pretty sweet, right? So that is something, how do I put this? When we first moved to the area, we did it a lot. We did it a ton. And again, it just didn't feel real. You know, it just depends, I think, on where you're coming from. If you live on the East Coast and in the summers, you can maybe go use the beaches there. Maybe a different story. But we came from Wisconsin. And let me tell you, Wisconsin, we've got lakes. I'm not a big lake guy. I don't know what it is. The water's just a little darker. It's not quite as clear. I just don't really like going in there because I don't know what's in there. With the full understanding that just because I can see what's in the ocean, you know, it doesn't make it any better, because honestly, there's probably a lot more dangerous things in the ocean that there are in a lake. But I don't know. It's just, lakes have never been my vibe. I just never really got into them. I don't know. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you agree with this or if you can relate to this. But so coming from the Midwest, like, I just didn't want to go in the water there. I don't know what it was, but like the ocean, it's something about it. It's magical. It's pristine looking. It's clear. It's just gorgeous. You know what I mean? And it's just so big. Like the idea of the ocean, even now to this day, is just like, when you think about it, it's like, wow, it's just like, think about how many like miles and miles and miles of it are, just to be able to dip your toes in that water and have the waves, you know, the sound of the waves is different than you're going to get than a typical lake. I don't know, all of that just for the first 2.5 years really hit home. And now, I mean, it's still, again, appreciated, but the reality is, after a while, like me and my wife Haiti, who's on most of the videos on the channel, like we got busy. Life came at us, you know, and we both got our businesses. You know, I help her with this business, which is, you know, the real estate things. I got my own basketball skills training business. So we've got a lot of things going on and a lot of things that keep us busy. And we got to try to get ahead on work sometimes because we got family coming into town. So we want to try to like make sure we got some time available for them. We got clients to take out and show homes and things like that. So it keeps us really, really busy. And as you get busy, you stop doing some of those little things quite as often. So now we get out to the beach, I would say once every couple of weeks. And it's usually briefer, more quick. You know, a lot of times we'll just go to the jetty and go to the parking lot and just kind of sit there to look at the water. Maybe, you know, just relax for a little while. Maybe get a bite to eat and eat there. Maybe walk out into the jetty. But we don't spend as much time going hunting for shark's teeth and seashells and whatnot. And it's not that we don't appreciate it. It's not that we don't find it appealing anymore. It's just, again, you kind of get used to it, you know, being there. So you take it for granted maybe a little bit, probably more than we should. And then when I make videos like this, it's a reminder that, hey, you live in a beach city. You should go take advantage of that. And then it's just the other side of it. It's just like, sometimes you just don't have time into the schedule to do it. But I'll say at the same time, it's like, man, you should make time. You know what I mean? Because like sometimes when you're doing a lot of stuff and life gets busy, it's like, you know what? Go to the beach for like 5 minutes and just listen to the waves, and like everything just goes down a notch. Like you realize how like, you know, much you're worrying about certain things and stressing. Like you don't need to be doing that, because you just start thinking about the size of the ocean, the sound of the waves, and just all those little things kind of just like bring the temperature down, helps you relax, helps you get into that Zen state and calm down. So that being said, we don't go as often for that. Businesses, you know, sort of, you know, the mom and pop shops and the things that make Venice, Venice. And to talk a little bit more about some of the other cities in the area, we definitely still enjoy doing that quite a bit. That's one thing I will say we do take advantage of and like about the area. First of all, between just like this location that we're in Venice, we really enjoy, because Englewood's got quite a bit to offer. Some of our favorite restaurants in all the area are right in Englewood, and Englewood's just got a different vibe and feel. It's got a little bit more of that old Florida feel. We get out to, I mean, obviously a lot of these areas we're getting out to a lot just from helping clients, you know, that are looking to buy or sell homes in the area, but just on our own too, we'll get out to them. And then Northport, you know, they got shopping options that we don't have in Venice. That's nice. Some more of the big box stores and chains. And there's a lot of like European style grocery stores and delis and restaurants and things like that we checked out a few. We definitely want to make a point to check out more of them, but it still adds some excitement to the area. And then, you know, obviously all the shops and restaurants in Venice, like we're always exploring new things, but revisiting ones we really like. So we do that quite frequently. And then on top of that, you've got everything that there is to offer in Sarasota, which is amazing. Like Sarasota's just got so much, and I'm about to come up to, you can see the Intracoastal Waterway here. You'll be able to see some boats and stuff. But we love getting up to Sarasota when we want to change a pace, because they got multiple different downtowns. You got the Lakewood Ranch downtowns. You've got, obviously the bigger city feeling of downtown Sarasota and the marina area. That area is just really fun. The UTC Mall, we love getting out to that area. As you can tell, we're kind of into the shopping and restaurant thing. And that's, one of those things that we found after being in the area for a while, that those are the things that on a day-to-day basis we end up using more often. So, it's one thing to keep in mind. If you're thinking about moving to this area, how much are you actually going to use the beach? Or how much do you think after time goes on, will you continue to use it? If you're retired, you probably use it more than us because you won't be as busy. If you're not, then, well, maybe you get busy and you wouldn't end up, using it quite as much as maybe you would think. But maybe, you would go for a bike ride like this guy. Or boating like these guys. So, I think it's just important to kind of keep in mind, like, how much time you're going to have on your hands. What kind of lifestyle do you want? What are you actually going to have the desire to continue doing over and over? I would say if we were retired, we'd probably go to the beach more often. We would probably get a boat, maybe go boating, bike riding, we did. And so here's another thing. This was a big one for us. And this is one that I wouldn't say we've gotten used to, but we still do. And one of our biggest things with moving to Florida in general was just the idea of, I remember it was starting to get to the colder months. I want to say it was like October or so when we were in Wisconsin. And we went for a walk. And it was like, man, yeah, it's starting to get a little chilly for this. And in a month, we're not going to want to be able to go for a walk outside, or, wouldn't be able to / wouldn't want to just because it's so cold. And how cool would it be just to be able to go for a walk every single day? And at the time we had our dog, who, rest in peace, she passed away about a year ago. Really loved her, but don't want to get a Debbie Downer here on you. But so anyways, just the idea for her too, to, be able to take her for a walk every day is like, oh, that'd be just really, really cool. And that's something we do just about every day. And we definitely have taken advantage of that. And that's one thing, we still appreciate, especially in the winter months. And that's when we notice more that, okay, yeah, it's nice out, it's warm out, and we can go do this. And that's super, not just rewarding and cool, but on top of just good for you, Getting some vitamin D, getting some sunshine, getting some steps in, and just good for elevating your mood and keeping you in a good mood. Because I'll say this, living in Wisconsin in the winter months was kind of depressing at times. It's gray outside, it's cold, you don't even want to be outside, it gets dark even earlier, like about an hour and 20 minutes earlier than here in Florida in the winter months. So all that kind of adds up. So now let's just talk about how our perspective has changed as far as like the areas as a whole. So Sarasota, I would say, hasn't changed dramatically. If anything, I think we've got a better understanding and awareness of it just from helping clients within the area, driving around to different areas, exploring different shopping areas, and just getting to know the different communities and understanding like how many different ways there are to live there, as far as, condos, townhomes, gated communities, more country style, like larger estates and things like that. But on top of that, I would say the area as a whole has really changed in the last 5 years. I mean, it has really started to grow and started to feel even more like a big city, even though I would still categorize it as that medium-sized city. It's definitely got some more of those big city things going on in terms of amenities, shopping, bigger buildings. Traffic is starting to pick up, especially during the winter months and getting a little bit more congested. Summer months I still think is awesome. I think this whole area you could say that for. And then the same for Venice, when you include North Venice and then Wellen Park, which is technically Northport, those areas growing. This area of Venice has definitely changed and expanded and got, bigger. But I would say our perception of them is not any different. We just kind of got used to them. You know what I mean? As far as Venice goes and the North Venice area and Wellen Park, but the areas themselves have changed just from growing over time. We've obviously found new restaurants and little pockets to the cities and stuff like that have maybe slightly changed our perception of Venice and Wellen Park and North Venice, but I would say the areas have changed more than our perception has. And you can see an airplane going overhead. Apologies if it gets loud at moments. There's a lot of those around this area that you'll quite often see and hear. But to talk a little more about Northport, our perception of Northport has definitely not changed. It is what we thought it was. I would say the only thing that has changed is kind of, what we've discovered in the area. There's a little bit more offerings as far as shopping, I think, than we originally realized, after being here for a while, both mom and pop wise, because there's a little bit of, more sneaky kind of mom and pop stuff along Tamiami Trail. and there's definitely more commercial than I think we originally gave it credit for. But outside of that, it's pretty much what we've always thought it was. It's more quiet, it's more laid back, it's kind of country feeling. Englewood, how has our perception changed? I would say that's similar to Northport in the fact that it has not changed much. I guess maybe more so similar to Venice and Wellen Park and North Venice areas in the fact that we are starting to see a little bit more development going on in Dearborn Street area. I wouldn't say on that level. It's more just kind of Dearborn Street and the shops and restaurants. And that's been something that's more been happening the last 2-ish years. But that's definitely been something that's kind of exciting to see happen to the area. And so with that coming to the area, it definitely kind of makes that area a little more exciting. And obviously with like the East Englewood area, that's something that's been developing and growing, kind of, you know, got a Northport-ish feel to it. And that definitely has not changed. It's just kind of been continuing to develop. The one thing I would say too, though, that is a little bit changed is there's a few more things like Cocoa Bay and things like that as far as developments with more plant communities in the area as well. And you got Beach Walk. That was something that was kind of just in the very early stages when we moved to the area. So those are all definitely some options out there. And then obviously, you know, all the other communities that go along with that. So like when I was talking like Wellen Park and North Venice, we're talking both commercial, you know, phase 2 of downtown Wellen Park. You're talking, you know, all the stuff that's coming North Venice, more kind of like chain wise and big box stores and you know, shops and restaurants and things like that that are coming in the area, the new hospital, but then also all the planned communities in both those areas, of course, like lots of those going into the area. And again, if you know, you want to get a more full perspective of what's out there, you know, want a better idea of what it's like to live in this area because you've been doing your research and thinking about it for a while, definitely get a hold of our team, 941-221-1897. We'd love to help you out. We helped a lot of people move to the area. We'd love to help you too. And again, we also serve the Orlando Metro. If you're looking to move anywhere else out of the, you know, from Englewood up to Sarasota area, you can click the link in the description, get connected with a realtor in the area you're looking for, anywhere in Florida or the United States for that matter. That doesn't cost you anything extra, but is a great way to support the channel so we can keep making you videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and if you want to know more about what it's like to live in Venice, check out this video, Northport this video, Englewood this video, Sarasota this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in one of those videos next.